Hello everyone, Crispin Huxley here with Age of Liberty. Obama announced last week that he was going to circumvent the Constitution. So what else is new? Here's what he had to say.
Things that I'll be emphasizing in this meeting is the fact that we are not just going to be waiting for legislation in order to make sure that we're providing Americans the kind of help that they need. I've got a pen and I've got a phone, and I can use that pen to sign executive orders and take executive actions and administrative actions that move the ball forward in helping to make sure our kids are getting the best education possible, making sure that our businesses are getting the kind of support and help they need to grow and advance, to make sure that people are getting the skills that they need to get those jobs that our businesses are creating. And I've got a phone that allows me to convene Americans from every walk of life, nonprofits, businesses, the sector, universities, to try to bring more and more Americans together around what I think is a unifying theme, making sure that this is a country where if you work hard, you can make it. And so one of the things that I'm going to be talking to my cabinet about is how do we use all the tools available to us, not just legislation, in order to advance a mission that I think unifies all Americans. The belief that everybody's got to take responsibility, everybody's got to work hard. But if you do, that you can support a family and meet the kinds of obligations that you have to yourself and your family, but also to your communities and to your neighbors.
Article 1, Section 1 of the Constitution states that all legislative powers reside with Congress. The Founding Fathers utilized the influence of Montesquieu to set up 3 branches of government, with the intention of providing checks and balances in the government so that we would not fall into tyranny. Montesquieu wrote, quote, "There can be no liberty where the legislative and executive powers are united in the same person," unquote. It was James Madison, writing in the Federalist 46, who gave the warning that consolidated power at the executive level is the very definition of tyranny. He said, quote, "The accumulation of all power, legislative, executive, and judiciary, in the same hands may justly be pronounced the very definition of tyranny," unquote. Our nation's history is replete with executive orders. But it was the Supreme Court that ruled executive orders may not be used to make law, only execute laws passed by Congress. Since the early 20th century, however, presidents have been signing executive orders that are flat out unconstitutional. Obama, frustrated with Congress and with his own inability to work with them, has taken matters into his own hands, increasingly consolidating governance to his office and making a dictatorial power grab on law and policy. The largest use of executive czars in history, issuing policy on immigration and gun control, not to mention his recent unconstitutional reforms of his own sweeping healthcare law that was passed on a party line vote. Obama is definitely treading in unprecedented territory, but abuse of executive orders is not limited to Democrats. Both parties have done what they could over the years to strengthen the power of the executive office. I mention this because Democrats will always make the, "well, Bush did it" argument. The point to be made is that this trend needs to stop. If we are going to preserve any semblance of a constitutional republic, losing out in this great experiment we have enjoyed in this country. Centralization of power historically has never been a good thing. In fact, over the last 100 years, centralized government powers have been the biggest killer in the world, killing over 200 million people. We've not reached such extremes in our country as of yet, but over the last 100 years' history in our country, the executive office has increased its centralized governing power through executive order. The office itself has become a tyrannical platform, regardless of who is in office. In other words, we're heading down a slippery slope, the same slope that has gotten millions of people killed. In the progressively regressive liberal authoritarian movement, The idea of adhering to the Constitution has become a mental illness. Authoritarian liberals spout off about how the Constitution is outdated and needs to be amended to fit our modern times. They don't exercise tolerance or freedom of thought or ideas. Just check out village idiot Governor Cuomo of New York.
You have a schism within the Republican Party. You have the Republican Party is searching for an identity. They're searching to define their soul. That's what's going on. Is the Republican Party in this state a moderate party, or is it an extreme conservative party? That's what they're trying to figure out. And it's very interesting because it's a mirror of what is going on in Washington, right? The gridlock in Washington is less about Democrats and Republicans. It's more about extreme Republicans versus moderate Republicans. And the moderate Republicans in Washington can't figure out how to deal with the extreme Republicans, and the moderate Republicans are afraid of the extreme conservative Republicans in Washington, in my opinion. You're seeing that play out in New York. The SAFE Act, the Republican Party candidates are running against the SAFE Act. It was voted for by moderate Republicans who run the Senate. Their problem is not me and the Democrats. Their problem is themselves. Who are they? Are they these extreme conservatives who are right to life, pro-assault weapon, anti-gay? Is that who they are? Because if that's who they are, and if they are the extreme conservatives, they have no place in the state of New York. Because that's not who New Yorkers are. If they're moderate Republicans, like in the Senate right now, who control the Senate, moderate Republicans have a place in the state. George Pataki was governor of the state as a moderate Republican, but not what you're hearing from them on the far right.
What authoritarian liberals often fail to recognize is that the ideas infused in the words of the Constitution support new and fresh ideas to the world, namely preserving individual liberties and property rights. Besides, if the Constitution is the source of so many problems, it can be amended. But what would be the point of that when a president can make executive orders to various department bureaucrats who enforce policies that are outside of constitutional law? Obama is simply continuing the trend of asserting power over the American people. Evidently, he is smarter than the combined brain power of the House, the Senate, as well as the American people. Our Constitution is the sole blockade against a tyrannical takeover of our country. Obama's recent comments demonstrate how he is making a massive power grab disguised as a benevolent action for the sake of our children. No man should have this much power. This is Crispin Huxley with the Age of Liberty. Have a good day.